So today my talk is called Farewell to the Drama Queen, also known as Enthusiasm for Serenity. Now, I'm a feminist, so I don't mean this in a sexist kind of a way. I mean it with no gender. And it reminds me when I used to ride my motorcycle, there was a person who said to me, when he saw me come in with my leather jacket and my helmet, he says, "Oh, you're a biker chick." I said, "Oh, wait a second. I'm a biker. Whoever's on the back of the bike, male or female, is the biker chick." So drama queen has no gender. And I've been thinking about the pronounced division of people, non-violent actions in protest. I've been thinking about the condition of the world with all the hurricanes and the fires and the earthquakes and the reports of mass shootings and gun violence. So let's bow our heads for a moment in sorrow and in faith. And in silence, welcome and acknowledge spirit and all the power we are given to do what we can do to live in the solution. In the words of Charles Fillmore, he writes, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me." For me, what ought to be done by me is to first find enthusiasm. And that starts with the search for serenity. Because in serenity is where I find stability and peace, to move forward with enthusiasm. So how do I find peace? Well, I turn to the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, theologian and radical nonviolence mentor to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and others. And he wrote, "Make a distinction between institutional Christianity and the religion of Jesus." And in his autobiography, he goes on to say that Christianity, as it was born in the mind of this Jewish teacher and thinker, Jesus, it appears as a technique for survival for the oppressed. It became, through the intervening years, a religion of the powerful and the dominant, used sometimes as an instrument of oppression. We must not tempt us into believing it was thus in the mind and the life of Jesus. And we experience oppression in different ways. The greatest oppression comes from a life that lacks enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, we can be autonomous at best, and at worst, filled with ego, bitterness, and drama. Enthusiasm for serenity is found in prayer and meditation. Dr. Thurman, in one of his 20 books, wrote in The Growing Edge about prayer and silence. It is in the climate of quietness, stillness, silence that we get released from involvements of prayer traffic, which keeps us defocused, scattered, and entangled. He talks about the moment that is the step between the final act of meditation and the awareness of prayer, the sacramental moment. He goes on to say, it is the moment when God appears, the waiting, the readying, the focusing, the centering down. Then the Spirit seems to pass over an invisible line of consciousness. The awareness of God bursts through all the corridors, all the reaches of spirit. When the sacramental moment does burst forth, he prays. It may be that he prays for the first time in his life because something in him prays. Enthusiasm is found in that bursting forth. Enthusiasm is eager to do the work with interest and energy and enjoyment, not drama. With a strong excitement of feeling, ardor doing work with energy and enthusiasm. When being a drama queen, it's about the outcome and not the process. I become the great I am. And we're not alone. We have trusted servants of the message of love. We have prayer chaplains. We have each other. You have me. And I have you. A common understanding of enthusiasm is that of excitement like at work. I got a promotion, but not a raise. I got a raise, but not a promotion. I got both. I got both. Or when doing service, I got the recognition I wanted. Or when driving, look at how I was cut off. Doesn't anybody use directional signals? Only me? Or when in crisis, the feeling of being done in. Why me? Or about people not behaving as they should. And violence. Look at him. Look at her. Look at them. About the climate. Oh, God is angry with us. Oh, how do I know what he's going to do next? How do I know what God thinks? Really. I'm not here to negatively interpret God's thoughts. Or another way is enthusiasm, making a mountain out of a molehill. A hurricane is a hurricane. It's life on life's terms. I'm reminded of a scene in The Deer Hunter when Michael, Robert De Niro, and Stanley, John Cazale, go with the group hunting, which they've done a number of times. And Stanley says to Michael, well, I don't have my boots. Can I borrow your boots, Michael? And this has happened before, as Michael goes on to say. It's always something. It's either you don't have this, you don't have that. And he picks up his bullet and he says, this is this, Stanley. Now, I saw that movie 40 years ago, and that is still with me today. It's not your boots. It's not your pants. It's not your gun. It's this. Nothing else. It's this. It's not the excuses. It's not all the other stuff that we want to blame it on. And it's not about all the drama. What can I enthusiastically do about it? Can I quietly take personal stock in prayer? Give my time, give my clothes, give water, write a letter to my representatives? Oh, of course, and then there's the drama fueled by caffeine, or fear, or anger, or laziness. By the way, laziness is not serenity. I am talking about a profound form of enthusiasm from your practice, from your heart, and from your soul. Ernest Holmes writes, enthusiasm reaches out with joy, for there is nothing depressing about it. It reaches out in faith, for there is no fear in it. It reaches out with acceptance, for there is no doubt in it. It reaches out as a child, for there is no uncertainty about it. Enthusiasm breathes acceptance and recognition of the blessings in our lives. Enthusiasm allows us to accept conditions as they are, not what they were, not what they should be, as they are, and see the perfection of the situation. It gives us direction moving beyond our frail emotions and dramatic thoughts. Enthusiasm moves us from the valley of drama to the ecstasy of serenity, a state of sudden, intense feeling of reality. Enthusiasm is joyful about an average day, not too high, not too low. Enthusiasm opens to the flow of God, the wisdom to do or not to do. Enthusiasm opens to love without conditions. Enthusiasm holds hands with grace and the ease of movement it provides. Enthusiasm is the magnificent outcome of prayer and meditation. I've heard it said, if you can worry, you can meditate. I would add to that, if you can pontificate, you can pray. Dr. Thurman writes in The Growing Edge, and he talks about prayer and silence. It is the climate of quietness, stillness, silence that we get released from the involvements of prayer traffic, which keeps us defocused, scattered, and entangled. It's that moment between the final act of meditation and the awareness of prayer, the sacramental moment. The bursting forth. That something in him prays, that moment. If being a drama queen eases God out of my life, enthusiasm enraptures the God within. And how am I enthusiastic? Can I locate within me the something in that prayer? Am I enthusiastic about serenity? Am I willing to surrender to enthusiasm? Or does it make me feel vulnerable? Am I willing to move past my mind and my emotions to enthusiastically embrace the divine energy? What needs to happen in my heart and my mind to be open to enthusiasm, to the flow of God's wisdom, love, grace, and the blessings in our lives? How does the Spirit burst forth in your corridors? What do you do to support the flow with others? May I use the technique of survival for the oppressed, given to us by the great Jewish thinker and teacher. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you for your prayer's perfect direction. That is enthusiastic peace and protection. And so I will end with a quote by Dr. Thurman. There is in every one of us an inward sea. And in that sea there is an island. And on that island there is a temple. And in that temple there is an altar. And on that altar burns a flame. Each one of us, whether we bow our knee at the altar, external to ourselves or not, is committed to the journey that will lead him to the exploration of his inward sea, to locate his inward island, to find the temple, and to meet at the altar in that temple the God of his life. Before that altar, all the deepest intent of your spirit stands naked and revealed. before that altar, you hear the voice of God, giving you lift to your spirit, forgiveness for your sins, renewal for your commitment. And as you leave that altar within your temple, on your island, in your inward sea, all the world becomes different. And you know that whatever awaits you, nothing life can do will destroy you. Nothing life can do will destroy you. We are here as one, in unity, in love, in enthusiasm for the wisdom, for the blessings, for the actions that are required. And we do know that the more is revealed, the more is required. So I take you into my heart, and I give you my heart, and I give you my soul's purpose, so that you can nourish yourselves. And I give it to you so I can nourish myself. It is the giving and receiving that is the enthusiasm. It has an exponential experience. And so I wish you willingness in your journey toward enthusiasm. And if you have enthusiasm, share it with others. And if you see someone without a smile, give him one of yours. And so it is.